In this analysis, we are going to be looking at the same setup we used in the previous video, apart from I've added a few more string savers. So in total, there was about 8 in a crisscross pattern on the bottom 2 and 3 crosses. This would turn out to be a mistake as the launch angle was far too high to be controllable at this level, but we'll get into more detail as we move along. So I'll go into a few stats for the racket and strings. We'll start off with the racket. The SV98 Lite has a shot speed of 65.5 miles an hour, about mid-range. It's got a swing speed of 50.1 miles an hour and a vibration frequency of 150 hertz, so nothing that stands out too much. If we move on to the strings, the main strings is the Solinco Outlast 1.25, and at 51 pounds that has a stiffness of 208.0 pounds and a deflection of 31.8 millimeters. The crosses is the Tecnifibre Black Code 4S 1.20, and at 51 pounds again that has a stiffness of 210.3 pounds with a deflection of 31.0 millimeters. And I deliberately put this string in the crosses to try and increase the amount of power we can get through the increase in stiffness and the lower dwell time at 33.5 milliseconds, but also the lower deflection I'm hoping will keep the launch angle a bit lower as well. So despite the higher shot speed we should be gaining, that extra control from the lower launch angle and the lower string movement hopefully will offset any type of length control. So yeah, let's get into the video. I'm going to look at some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, and we'll draw some conclusions. I thought the main strength of this setup was the first serve, and the increase in pace was noticeable from all the previous setups I've used. And these are just a few clips to try and demonstrate that I don't usually hit aces. So to see a few of those go through and to get a few free points like we have here, for example, they're always welcome, as playing against players of this quality from the back of the court, I feel like they have an advantage, so I need to get those 3 points, and I need a setup shot that allows me to get into the net like that, for example. So the first thing, which I think is the main strength for this setup actually, is just the first serve. The speed and the placement really are quite good. Probably the best setup I've used, definitely in this analysis series so far, but in terms of setups that I've used over my career, it's up there with like the top 5%, I'd say, so pretty impressive. On to the first weakness, and as mentioned before, this was related due to the amount of string savers, which was too much. It was about 8, coupled with an O dampener, and that is the launch angle being far too high to be consistently aggressive from the baseline. And we've got a few returns here that immediately put me on the back foot. One of them just went far too long, far too high off of the string bed. The other was too short, and I'm defending straight away. So it's very difficult, of course, when you're at a disadvantage from the back of the court, especially against players of this quality, and it also makes it more difficult for me to get into the net, which I feel is my best opportunity to be a player that's on a similar level to me or higher than me. So it's doubly bad. But yeah, I would try to mix it up with some slices as well, but look at this clip here. I mean, it's just a short bunt off of the backhand that goes long. That's inexcusable from whatever setup, bad technique or not. No setup should be sending a ball long off a short backhand bunt like that. So yeah, it's a severe weakness. Again, just a normal forehand cross court going 2 foot out, not even aggressive. So it is a severe issue, and one that has to be addressed before the next match. And it filtered into my second serves as well, because the launch angle was so high. I couldn't be as aggressive as I wanted on the second. It meant I was hitting them shorter with less aggression, and it would allow the opponent to get on the front foot from the off and put pressure on me in my service games far too often. My first serve percentage just wasn't high enough to keep the pressure off of me. So yeah, the main weakness of this setup was the launch angle being far too high, not allowing me to get on the front foot enough to make this match competitive as much as I would like. It's not all bad though. As mentioned before, the first serve was very good, I thought, and once I was able to get into the net on at least neutral terms, the volleying was pretty good, pretty precise, and I could put pressure on my opponent that way, which is, again, what I said, I feel is my best way to win matches like this. So we've got another example here where I'm able to stay on the front foot and defend the net. Not a great first volley, that's more technique-wise, but I was able to fend off the aggressive attempt at a pass. And even when I play almost an ideal point for me, could have been a bit more aggressive on that volley, but it's a great pass from him. So, but like I said, this is, in my opinion, my best opportunity to defeat opponents that are on my level or similar or slightly higher even. And the setup, once I'm allowed to get into the net on my terms, I can put the volley away. That's pretty nice there. So yeah, that is the strengths and the weaknesses of the setup. The main strengths are the serves, the first serve in particular, and the volleys once I'm able to get into the net. Not so great for defending the net, but if I'm there on my terms or in the ascendancy, then it's good for putaways and staying on the front foot. But the launch angle was far too high to stay consistently aggressive from the baseline, and that also made it difficult to hit aggressive second serves, which meant I was defending a whole lot more than I would have liked, and also that makes it more difficult to get into the net where I can put pressure on my opponent. So yeah, overall, it's not a setup that I'm going to continue with. In fact, I'm going to change the cross string to the RS Leon 1.25 in search of more power and a lower launch angle. That way I am going to remove some of the string savers. So in the next setup, I'll have the O dampener on the bottom cross and 4 string savers besides the O dampener. I keep the string savers because they do absorb some of the shock. This setup is very stiff, and it's only going stiffer. The RS Leon at a tension of 62 pounds has a stiffness of 215.5 pounds. It's starting to move up into the higher realms of stiffness, and we've got to be careful. We don't want any arm injuries. So yeah, the string savers coupled with the O dampener, they are there to absorb some of the shock, and also they reduce the movement of the strings, so we get a little bit more trajectory control and also shot speed as well, if that's what you're looking for. So I'm looking forward to testing that out, and I'll do an analysis video on that setup, and we'll see where the strengths again and where the weaknesses lie, and see if we can further improve the setup. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. I do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed it, it might be worth checking out some of the other content on this channel and staying tuned for future videos. So I'll hopefully see you all there. And until then, everyone, take care.